As a climate-driven mega-drought persists in the southwestern region of the United States, the level of water in the second largest reservoir in the country reached an all-time low on March 15, 2022. Since the reservoir was filled to form the Glen Canyon Dam more than half a century ago, Lake Powell's level has dropped lower than 3,525 feet for the very first time. Lake Powell is located on the boundary between Utah and Arizona. As a result of the water levels falling more quickly than expected, there are currently worries about the dam's capacity to maintain its electricity production in the not-too-distant future. The Southwestern Megadrow is in full swing, and it's got authorities in panic mode. What are the consequences of this megadrought, and why is it happening in the first place? The southwestern region of the United States is now experiencing its greatest megadrought in 1,200 years, and the climate crisis has made the severity of the drought 42% worse than it would have been otherwise. The availability of water in California, Nevada, and Arizona has been the focus of most of the concerns that have been raised in relation to the drought up to this point. The situation at Lake Powell, on the other hand, shows that the reliability of hydroelectric power is now in question. Approximately 5 million consumers in the states of Arizona, Colorado, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming get their electricity from the Glen Canyon Dam. At this time, the water levels in Lake Powell are 35 feet higher than the level at which the turbines would cease operating, which is also referred to as the minimum power pool. The level of 3,525 feet is referred to as a target elevation for the purposes of drought contingency strategies. After Lake Mead, Lake Powell is the United States' second largest reservoir ever built. The Glen Canyon Dam, which is one of the biggest concrete structures ever created by mankind, holds this truly massive body of water. The idea is that this massive structure, which is symbolic of America's best effort to transform the water supply in the American West, is failing and putting the Southwest in uncharted territory legally, as well as politically, socially, and economically. The problems that have been occurring in Lake Powell are only a microcosm of the larger effects that the megadrought has had on the whole Colorado River system. More than 40 million people throughout 7 western states and Mexico get their water supply from the river. It also supplies water to Lake Mead, the biggest reservoir in the country, which is used to power the Hoover Dam. The water levels in Lake Mead dropped to all-time lows in August 2021, which prompted the federal government to issue a water shortage declaration for the Colorado River for the very first time. By the year 2021, the states of California, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona, as well as the Navajo Nation, have all issued drought-related states of emergency.
We knew climate change would stress our water supplies, and we've been preparing for it.
The melting of snow, according to the authorities from the federal government, will bring Lake Powell back to its original level in the following months. The short-term problem will be solved by the runoff that occurs throughout the spring. As the climate crisis drags on, the area will need to reevaluate the way in which it uses its water supply over the longer term. The effects on agriculture and food security. Because of the severe drought in the West, many farmers and ranchers are being forced to make the most difficult of decisions, including the slaughter of their cattle and the destruction of their crops.
This is a fallow field where there's not enough water to plant. No water, so that's the rice dying.
There is a severe drought affecting about 80% of the western region, which includes both North and South Dakota. When contrasted to the 20% of this area that was experiencing extreme drought conditions at the same time last year, this number is even more startling.
See the seed lines and how it's just all dead.
The parched terrain is providing less and less in the form of nourishment for grazing animals, and as the need for feed grows, so do the expenses. Many of the regions that are suffering drought are crucial places for grazing livestock. In addition, much like crops, animals have an inherent need to be hydrated. According to the results of a recent poll conducted by the Farm Bureau among farmers and ranchers in regions that are now experiencing drought, more than 85% of respondents rated the practice of selling off sections of their herd or flock as widespread or higher in their region. In the same vein, 77% of respondents assessed the practice of decreasing acreage as widespread or higher in their region. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has issued an executive order requesting all residents of the state to voluntarily limit their water consumption by 15% in response to the state of emergency that has been declared due to the drought in 50 of the state's 58 counties. However, For farmers and ranchers, the solution is not as simple as turning off the sprinkler. It isn't possible to use less water without compromising agricultural output or the way people in farming areas make their living. One thing, however, will not change, and that is the need that the general public has for food. The predicted water supplies for 1/4 of the irrigated farmland in the state have already decreased by 95%, and more than half of that irrigated farmland is not receiving any surface water at all. The effect on electricity production. When compared to the average yearly energy output in the 12 years leading up to it, from 1988 to 1999, the quantity of energy generated in the Lake Powell region has declined by 13.1% due to the drought that has been going on for the past 22 years. It is impossible to provide an accurate prediction of real repercussions beyond the year 2023, although it is believed that this trend will continue. Additionally, the typical operational capacity of the Hoover Dam is around 2,074 megawatts, but is now only 1,500 megawatts, which is a fall of almost 25%. In order to counteract this problem, various potential solutions are currently being investigated. One of the potential solutions that scientists are currently seeking to accomplish is the development of a battery with a bigger capacity to store the energy that is generated at the dams for later use. Furthermore, research is being conducted to determine the viability of installing solar-powered pumps at the base of the dam to transport water to the top, where it may be recycled through the turbines. The state water project in California was forced to shut down a hydroelectric power plant at Lake Oroville for the first time since it was completed in 1967 due to low water levels. The facility had a capacity of 750 megawatts. In normal operating conditions, the facility is capable of supplying electricity to 500,000 houses. Power plants at Lake Shasta, the biggest reservoir in the Central Valley Project in California, was also producing roughly 30% less electricity than they typically do. In the summer, the lake typically generates roughly 710 megawatts of power, but in July, it was only generating 500 megawatts. Up to 1,000 households in the United States may be powered by a single megawatt, so the numbers start to add up. Because of poor hydroelectric output and other factors, there is a shortage of electricity in the state of California. As a result, Governor Gavin Newsom has issued an order that would enable industrial power users to run on diesel generators and engines which produce more greenhouse gas emissions. The ruling removed limitations on the quantity of fuel that natural gas power plants may use to produce electricity and let ships docked at a port use diesel generators rather than hooking into the grid. Environmentalists have voiced their disapproval on the decision, claiming that it would have a negative impact on California's already poor air quality and weaken the state's attempt to combat climate change. Start of the water wars.
For years and generations, wars have been fought over oil. In a short matter of time, they will be fought over water.
The Mexican National Guard and military police engaged in gunfire at a protest against a dam that diverts water away from a drought-stricken region and toward the United States. 2 people were killed in the exchange of fire. Farmers were reportedly angry because water from the La Boquilla Dam was being moved over the border into Chihuahua State, and Mexican authorities said that the farmers originally hurled rocks and Molotov cocktails at the Border Patrol agents. According to the National Guard, shots were fired at police as they were arresting individuals who were reportedly in possession of tear gas and firearm ammunition and transporting them for processing. 1 person died at the location of the incident, while another person passed away later at the hospital, according to the statement that was released by the National Guard. According to a local farmer, the state would face a severe economic challenge as a result of the water transfer. The protest was in response to intentions to transfer more water to the United States as a result of a water debt owed by Mexico to the United States under a water-sharing contract that the 2 nations signed in 1944. After building up a deficit in previous years by obtaining more water than it has given back, lawmakers in Mexico have warned that Mexico may face fines if it did not redirect the water. This imbalance was caused by Mexico receiving more water than it has given back. As part of the terms of the treaty, the United States and Mexico are required to exchange water on a 5-year cycle. However, Mexico is now experiencing a significant shortage that is expected to reach 307,943 acre-feet, which is equivalent to 379.8 million cubic meters when the current 5-year cycle comes to an end. The shortfall accounts for around 88% of what is anticipated to be supplied by Mexico to the United States each year. The president of Mexico has made allegations that interests and water bosses in the state of Chihuahua have long manipulated supplies to benefit wealthy growers. These wealthy growers have made their fortunes by planting large tracts of crops such as alfalfa and walnuts that require extensive irrigation. This region will not be the first to experience an escalation of tension over water. In the words of Ismail Sarageldin, the wars of the 21st century will be fought over water. If a disaster is to be averted, it is necessary to investigate the following solutions to this critical problem. In return for the right to use California's or Mexico's portion of the Colorado River, Las Vegas may pay for desalination facilities along the West Coast. From the Columbia River in the Pacific Northwest to the Southwest, the United States could construct offshore aqueducts that flow under the ocean. Some arid regions of the region currently import water using tanker ships or by pulling enormous water bladders across the ocean. Some studies investigated the use of these techniques to transport water from Alaska to California and the Southwest. It also examined the towing of insulated icebergs from the Arctic. In the 1930s, settlers planted fast-spreading salt cedar plants to strengthen the Colorado River's banks. A mature tree may absorb up to 200 gallons of water each day. Removing these plants will save massive amounts of water. Utilizing less water is a less expensive method than generating more supplies. Methods include collecting storm runoff and processing agricultural and industrial wastewater to make it drinkable. Whatever solution is identified must be executed as quickly as possible before the crisis has irreparable ripple effects. Leave a comment below if you reside in any of these regions and tell us how the mega drought is affecting you. Please watch these videos for more. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.